Okay guys, back again. This is Saturday night. I've already done one video. This one I'll just read the end of the last video, so because there's no chapters and pages in this book. This is what I'm reading from David Yates's Genesis to Genocide. Continuing, we're nearly getting to the end. So okay, got to that funny word in a minute. Vaccines are a pineal gland lobotomy that we must begin to probe, a festering, ticking time bomb, primed to explode our precious lobe. And this word is spelt, in case I pronounce it wrong, Fukushima. Fukushima. Maybe I got it right this time. We can't escape this construction of destruction. Like this book states, it is now systemic. One recklessly planned disaster after another as we sink into the mire. Fukushima is no sushi dish, nor a motorbike. Fukushima Daiichi was a nuclear facility in Japan. It created both electricity and enriched weapons grade uranium. March the 11th, 2011 saw a supposed earthquake and ensuing tsunami cause an explosion and meltdown at this nuclear facility. The reported reason for the meltdown was because outside power lines connecting the facility went down. Zero outside electrical power resulted in total catastrophic nuclear radioactive meltdown. 15 minutes after the earthquake, the meltdown took place. Even before the ensuing tsunami hit, contamination was being reported immediately as detected radiation, which meant that the reactor fuel was melted and in fission. Reactor 4 was reportedly loaded to the hilt with a special new fuel formula of highly enriched plutonium. This was purposeful and reached hellish temperatures. An upgrade to the reactor, despite there being no need of an upgrade, very suspect to me. A direct result of this disaster is that 4 other facilities were also damaged. Particulates from just Fukushima have and continue to spread across the earth. Fuel rods spewed up and into the ocean. Radiation has now plentiful and more than enough to go around. Eyewitnesses reported that after the explosion, an orange glow could be seen through the brickwork housing reactor 3. Thousands of degrees of hellish heat. Infant mortality and death rates increased dramatically. The cover-up by various agencies, government and media is and was appalling. All the cooling pools were emptied and the remaining rods caught fire. The tsunami was not to blame. I go with the belief that Fukushima was pre-planned, 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 planned, constructed to be destructed for nefarious reasons. I believe weather manipulations created the earthquake. I believe, David Yates believes, that the nuclear facility was placed on that shoreline in preparation for a future event such as was with the Twin Towers, which we won't go into now, but we might another time on a completely different video, because I've learnt a lot about that and I'm sure some of you need to learn it. With Fukushima, a military designed earthquake set the whole charade off. There is a dust known as Wigner dust, W-I-G-N-E-R, Wigner dust, a high temperature mash fuel nanopoison. This particulate radioactive dust was first reported at Chernobyl. This dust is the remnants of the metals from power plants. Radioactivity eats away at everything, leaving this particulate Wigner dust. Wigner dust. This dust is forming its very own Fukushima crust. Make no mistake, this disaster is affecting all of us, all life forms. Fukushima is an extinction level event. We cannot see this stuff from off of the Fukushima event. Can't smell it. We don't even know it's there, here, there and everywhere. But make no mistake, it is in us all. Because we cannot see these systemic poisons, we do not and don't feel their immediate effect. So we tend to remain ignorant to what is playing itself out. It doesn't affect us, so why worry? Radiation on matter does matter, no matter what you think. The earth is covered in this crap. Lungs are coated in all this evil, yours and mine. It's true, I've got a permanent phlegm on my chest that will never come up. I've never smoked in my life. I've worked in smoky places and I've had a husband that smoked and stuff, friends that smoked. But it's horrible when you can't move the stuff off it. You can't even bring up sputum, which is there, to have it tested. So you will go through stuff like that in the future, worse than this. Lungs are coated in all this evil. Are you aware that lung cancer stands at just over 17,000%? That is just lung cancer. These cancers are known pathway cancers. The list of cancers from off all of this is staggering. Death and illness increase every day. It is important to remember that fluoride and GMO foods interact with both radiation and chemtrail particulates. 10,000 KLM from Japan wildlife species plummeted dramatically after the March 2011 Fukushima explosion. That is a direct link to me. There has been a dramatic decline in rates in Japan. After Fukushima blew itself up, out, left, right and centre, whatever got released as radiation was carried eastwards, hitching a free ride via the North Pacific Current and the Northern jet stream, thus proving once and for all that there never was and never could be any containment. To make matters worse, if that is at all possible, Japan continues to export as much contaminated rice, wine steel, and foodstuffs as they can to anyone foolish enough to purchase. Since the explosion at Fukushima, there has been a sudden expansion of the Arctic ozone hole, plus fragmenting of ice caps. Wild salmon fisheries have been utterly annihilated. Poisonous milk from dairy cows, plus a host of other problems that are being falsely blamed on climate change. Fukushima happened, it really did, and it is still happening, still spewing and doing its worst to destroy life as we know it. The fires and meltdowns were not the only sources of the mass destructive radioactive releases. Amongst those explosions was weapons-grade materials. Highly enriched plutonium was released from separate nuclear disasters that occurred at 4 nuclear warhead production sites. The Fukushima complex was actually one of the largest, most advanced warhead production sites on Earth. Vast arsenals of hydrogen bombs, rapidly produced from nuclear waste, are probably the real reason why nuclear power plants exist. Let's have it right. It has always had to be about much more than boiling water. In order to secure nuclear funding in the beginning, they told us and sold us a nuclear power that would be too cheap to meter, and yet prices continue to soar. What a big lie that was. Too cheap to meter? Despite that fact that we all now are being sold and told we must get smart meters. No, 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 no to smart meters. If you've got one, get rid of it. It's almost impossible to get people to believe that nuclear facilities can and do produce secret military weapons materials plus medical poisons. Japan's government lied and reported just one single death from the Fukushima disaster. In truth, at least 1,000 nuclear technicians and other workers were killed inside the Haramachi lab. They had zero chance of escape due to the intense nuclear release. Many thousands of local villagers died of a combination of radioactive fallout and freezing temperatures. You will never see this truth reported in the shame stream media. 2 months after the Fukushima disaster, a leaked document regards Fukushima University Medical School Hospital stated that more than 1,000 bodies, still attired in their white lab coats or military uniforms, were being secretly kept in a walk-in freezer inside the hospital morgue. There are over 100 million plastic bags, each weighing 1 ton each, full of radioactive waste from this one disaster, being stored and buried all over Japan. Thousands upon thousands of tons of wastewater has and continues to be dumped into the oceans. At least with Chernobyl, they encased it in concrete in hopes future generations will solve its problems. With Fukushima, the meltdowns continue to this very day. They will continue until explosions spew the remainder of their deadly contents into the air, oceans, and life itself. The next headline is glyphosate. Glyphosate. Glyphosate is extremely toxic and very dangerous. If you look at a glyphosate molecule under a microscope, you will find it looks suspiciously like VX nerve gas, which is lethal and military in origin, and one of the deadliest nerve agents ever created. It is a registered chemical of mass destruction and comes in gas or cream form. Why would they make cream form? Only to murder. Oh, how horrible. Glyphosate is nothing more than a nerve gas for plants. If you think about it, common sensely, like I do, David Yates does, and I do as well, a super effective killer that farmers love. If only they knew the truth about glyphosate. Or do they? Do you think they know? Why would they want to know? I mean, they think everything is safe. That, well, they need to start doing their own research, don't they? They could die from the effects of this stuff. Plants die immediately from contact with this poison without delay. Dead in 6 hours. Brown in 12 hours. That is how fast and effective it is. With glyphosate, there is no discrimination. Anything rooted is affected. GMO plants are engineered to cope with this poison. We human beings, we are not designed to cope with it. Cows ain't, pigs, sheep, horses, in fact anything that eats grasses and such are not able to cope with this poisoning. So we have a nerve gas of a military grade being used and labelled as entirely safe for our consumption. The dangers from glyphosate usage are downplayed because of money. Agreed. Not for feed. Just for simple, cold, hard cash. Hard cash. Hard cash. There is a direct medical link between glyphosate causing non-Hodgkin's lymphomas and governments endorse glyphosate and its usage. Seems they have learned little from the tobacco endorsements or the thalidomide endorsing. Both have either maimed or killed millions of people. I'm no scientist. David studied science, but neither of us been to university, so we don't count. But I don't need to be a scientist to understand this crime. The truth speaks for itself. Until this one product is banned, millions more will suffer from the consequences of using glyphosate. This one product systemically infiltrates our immune systems. People who drink beer, he's put bear, B-E-A-R, should spell check. Beer is B-E-R-E. People who drink beer, not bear, made from glyphosate, contaminated barley, have been proven to have urine rich in glyphosate. Our metabolism cannot destroy the glyphosate molecules because they are so small. They are also resistant to being destroyed and permeate everything. Even if we cease its use now, we will suffer its effects for generations. What a bastard of a poison is glyphosate. What a bastard of poison. I don't like swearing, sorry, but I have to do it. He's written it, but I feel the same way. Every negative property that you can imagine is in glyphosate. It is a terrorist poison that puts all others in the shade. It shouldn't be anywhere. It shouldn't be in use. It shouldn't be manufactured, or where the heck they get it from. Glyphosate is an indiscriminate killer of all cell structures. Think about this. 190,000 farmers in India committed suicide because of crop failures following the direct use of glyphosate and GMO crop seeds. To add insult to this massive unjust injury, some farmers committed suicide by actually drinking glyphosate. Yes, you read that. You heard that correctly. You heard that correctly from me. They drank glyphosate to commit suicide. I'm horrified. I'm more than horrified. I'm absolutely shocked at what I've just read. Why are they get all these petitions online, change.org and all these others that they get me to sign. Why aren't they doing stuff like this and then petty petitions that they keep sending online? Why aren't they telling us about this sort of thing? Why can't we hear? We have to wait for a nice little man like David Yates, and everybody disses him, disrespects him, and he's telling the flipping truth, and he's done his research. This is absolutely horrifying. Horrifying. It's like reading something from a horror movie, only it's real. I'm not very happy with this. This is disgraceful. Why aren't the newspapers writing about this? Why is it somebody like me, an old 73-year-old lady, has to get a book with the facts in it and start reading it so people can get the facts? And someone like David is disrespected by many wicked, evil people. Probably money in it for that. This is awful. It is mass destruction. Mass murder. This is horrific. Horrific. It's awful. Sorry about my rant. But I wasn't expecting to read this. It make tears come to my eyes thinking, this is awful. I mean, this is destruction. It's not something I like to see in my lifetime. What we have world wars for? For it to end up worse. This is worse than World War. This is secret World War. World War III happening already. In a different way. Not men's and guns and bombs. Poison, 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 poison. Glyphosate, that's disgusting. People should be, this is awful. Sorry, ranting. Long-term chronic illnesses are another spin-off from the exposure to glyphosate. Remember, big pharmaceutical companies become enriched from this because they not only supply our poisons, they then provide our ongoing treatments after we've ingested their glyphosate. Chemical companies place zero value on life. We are simply a means to their end. As far as I'm concerned, they show zero ethics, zero ethics, zero ethics, zero morality, with zero intentions of ever solving or saving anything. The medical, pharmaceutical, GMO, pesticidal, herbicidal, biocidal, vaccine, fluoride, chemtrail, 5G promises are bullshit! 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 Shit! That is being thrown at a fan that is spinning out of control and flinging its cunning dung far and wide. Pesticides, herbicides, biocides equal homicide! Homicide! The death of every breath we take. This great culling of all life forms is well underway. The real elite have introduced hybrid plants, trees, seeds, the whole shebang. Even hybrid humans are a certainty. Well, we've seen them with them robots in Japan, haven't we? They're very human-like. Probably got a lot of them wandering about. The fake, ridiculous mastering of everything prior to then, connecting everything, is just about complete. We cannot coexist with any of this crap. We just cannot. Mixing DNA is not the way to be led astray. It's a massive criminal experiment that will usher in even more strife for the already existing struggling life forms. Science is reliant upon its own defiance and lives by that age-old motto: if at first you don't succeed, they keep on trying and lying and defying all ethics. Science is that little kid who will do everything in its power to prove its parents wrong, even at the risk of lying and stealing, just to get its own way. That's how I see science. The war machine keeps on feeding this need to create. This science hell-bent on constructive destruction, under the guise of modification. Defiant science, reliant maniacs are running the asylum. The old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, still holds true for me. Herbicides disrupt antibiotics. Herbicides thrive on killing all bacteria needed in our guts and on our skin. Our immunity and digestion becomes greatly affected. Even our vitamin levels are dramatically affected. I'm going to stop there because I found that so distressing, that last section to read, that I actually need to stop, because my brain was, I do not read this book before I start reading it to you, because I've got better things that I'm doing beforehand, and well, I read good or bad, whatever way you look at it. But to digest that like for the first time in front of being videoed, I'm sorry I outburst and ranted and raved, but I found the whole thing distressing and shocking and awful. And I thank you, David, for the research that you've done. I do believe you've got the real facts there. You're not a man that would write lies, and that it's horrifying. It's really, really ghastly. We've got to get the truth out. We've got to search more, and more people have got to start reading and learning about all this stuff. We can't let them continue doing this. It's suicide. We will be committing suicide. Oh dear, this is getting worse, don't you think? As the book goes on, we're learning more things. I wasn't expecting to. I knew I was going to learn about certain things, but not. This is like just as bad as what the Nazis did to the Jewish people in the last war. That the things that came out of there afterwards. This is just as horrifying, but it's just killing and murdering in a different way instead of just plain starvation and horrific the things that they did medically they did to those people. Oh, well, I don't know what's to come in the next bit. I might not do it this evening, I might do it tomorrow, because I find my spirit was so happy after listening to Susan Boyle. She sung beautifully, and I was typing up all prayers and things, and it was gospel, and it was wonderful. Saw all her life history and everything, and then listened to Elvis. I mean, his gospel singing is just lovely. I didn't listen to his pop songs, his gospel. But now I'm glad that I did all that before reading this. I might have stopped sooner because I found it horrifying. Absolutely, I feel like crying. I feel very sad that this evil is in our world. I really find it horrifying and distressing, because I've got children, grandchildren, godchildren, people I love, people I care about, and they know nothing of this. You know, they think I'm a nutcase, but I like to find out. I'm a person who wants to know the truth and the facts about every living thing, everything that's going on anywhere. I watch all kinds of travel things, or going to the Sahara Desert and places that people don't visit, and documentaries. I just love the world that God created, and these evil, wicked, evil bastards are destroying it, and the people are not aware of what's being done, and it will hit them, and well, they'll just drop like flies, won't they? Before this thing, drop like flies, and that's what they want. We have to do something about it. I don't care if people think I'm a nutcase or a mental case. Truth has to be out. And as a Christian, follower of Jesus Christ, God would expect me to do something. Now, I can't do a lot, I'm a little old lady, but I can read and tell people, tell them to do their research. Alright, God bless and good night. Tomorrow's Sunday. You might hear something from me late in the day. It's Rosie's birthday tomorrow. We've had cake today and cake on Thursday. More cake on the birthday, I hope. Alright, have a good night.